So here's the setup for my template. With there at the very bottom that you can't even hardly see it is the template. And I got all these weights there to try to put pressure on it so that it'll get glued into place. Alright, this shows the first leg I've cut. I've used this approximately 3.5 inch old piece of redwood post here, approximately 3.5 by 3.5 inches, and I cut it down to 2.5 inches, 2.5 inches. So I'll use this as my template for all the rest of them I'm going to make. It's a little bit longer than 16 inches, but it's good. So it does have a little bit of a mar in there where was a nail probably that rotted away. Who knows what it is. And then right now the saw blade marks are left in there, if you can see that. So we may or may not sand those out. So I'm going to go ahead and cut 3 more boards out of this piece that's remaining. So we need 4 of these legs per bench, and we got 3 benches to make, so we'll need a total of 12. See here that this particular piece is not all that good, actually. What I started with, it was actually, I had it sitting down where my rose garden was. Down there is a space holder to keep the rose garden in firm position while it's set up in terms of its exact final shape, and it was exposed to the elements for a couple of years. But it's, and of course it was sitting out on somebody's fence for a long time. But as you can see, when you trim it down the middle, it looks pretty good. Okay, so here we have the master board, along with all the other legs I cut today. And I've got the template that I'm going to use for routing. Here's my routing template that I already cut up, damaged. And then these are my mold, or whatever you want to call it, that I'm going to hold, that I'm going to put my leg into. So the leg goes in here. I'm going to screw these ends on and glue them so they're good and sturdy. And then the template will come on top of here and will route on the inside, and the lower joist will fit right in there. So next step is to take our Titebond glue, glue this guy together, and we'll be all ready to go. Alright, we've got it all, the mold all glued together. Let's hope it can get the piece out of there and that it works okay. Okay, this shows our first 6 legs that we've cut. This one here, this 7th one down here, is actually still, it's cut to the right dimensions, 2.5 by 2.5. but it's a little bit longer. It's supposed to be 16 inches for each one of these, and this one's a little bit long. I have to cut that off yet. Here's the master. Now this number 5 here is a little bit short. You can see that, so we'll have to make some adjustments on that later if we use that leg. And here shows my finished template. I've been practicing, been making various cuts with it, and I'll show you how that fits in. Here are my lower joists. These each are 7 1/4 inch long. Now this first one right here, number 2, I have actually whittled down the sides a little bit at 3/8 of an inch to fit right into this inset here. See how that fits? And if you measure the distance from here to there, that's 2.5 inches like it's supposed to be. So these will fit. You just have to whittle off the edges, and these will fit right into these practice slots that I made. So the next step now is, now that I've got my template working and demonstrated that I can cut these insets in here with the router proficiently, the next step will be to go ahead and cut one of these per leg. This shows how each one of these legs has been trimmed down so it fits right in here. And you can see the square right there. That's the 2-inch square that will be used as the template. You can see how this fits right in here. And then we'll take it out and set it up on the router table. That's not really a router table, but just my bench where I'm doing the routing. And then it'll come out looking just like this. Okay, here's the bench I've got set up. The board, the leg is inside the mold template, clamped down tight. The screwdriver is here to push it up towards the edge, so I have a uniform distance snug up against here. This will be the bottom of the leg. Okay, so here's the router with the router bit stuck out, so that the bearing right here, that's the bearing, and it runs alongside here of the template, and then the router bit is 3/8 of an inch further down from where the bushing is. So I've drilled a 1/4 inch hole in there with this bit, and that's what I'll use to start the router with. So here's the initial cut with the router. So I'll go back in and trim it all out. Here's after I vacuumed it out, so there's still a bit more in there, but it's basically done. Alright, looks like it's all done. It should be all cut off when I take it out. So we'll go ahead, undo the clamps, take her off. We'll see what she looks like. And there it is. Cut to specification. Next we'll go and check it to see if it Alright, so this is what it looks like, what it's going to look like when it's together. Now right now this is my practice leg, or my practice joist right here, and here was my practice leg, and here's the number 4 that I've cut and put in there. And when I checked for squareness, it's pretty square. This one over here may not be quite square yet because I didn't round off these edges, but you get the idea of what it's going to look like. So I'll go cut another one of these legs, and then we'll be on to the next step, which will be to put the apron on. So this is what it looks like after the second leg has been cut. So I've got the master up here. This is 2.5 inches. The apron will be 3 inches, so it's a little bit shorter what the apron will be. And the board, the apron, the total width of the bench will be 16.5 on the top, and this is only 16, but it gives you an idea what it looks like. And when I check this for squareness, it's pretty square, very stable. So I think our template is pretty much on the mark. Here's the mold that I set up to form the brace that I'll use to assemble the legs.